All right. Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for coming to our residence life and move-in session and Q&A. We're going to give everybody just a minute or two to get logged in before we launch, but we're really excited to have you. My name is Kelly Butler. I'm with the Office of Admission, and I'm also joined by Natasha Bird, who coordinates some amazing stuff through student wellness for us. So we're really excited to have her with us, as well as Blake Petty, who is our director of residence life. And so we're here to give you some great information about res life and move-in, as well as just living on campus. Tidbits, and then take your questions. So we know you guys have a lot of questions about what move-in is going to look like, how you can prepare, and things like that. So we're here to answer those questions. You're welcome to start going ahead and dropping them in the Q&A if you'd like, or you can go ahead and wait to hear what our team has to say to see if they answer any of your questions first. We're going to get to as many as we can. Any that we don't get a chance to answer today, of course, reach out to us by email, by text, by phone, and we will make sure that you feel comfortable with all of the logistics of move-in before the big day comes. So we're really excited to have you. We'll just give another minute or two. A bunch of you are already logged in, so that is fantastic. We're really happy that you're going to be living on campus with us. We cannot wait to welcome you in just a few weeks. So hang with us, and we're going to answer all of your burning questions today. So one more second here to let folks log in, and then we will get going. So once again, my name is Kelly with the Office of Admissions, and we also have Natasha and Blake with us, and Katie is behind the scenes also answering questions. So send those questions to us via the Q&A anytime, whenever you're ready, and we'll make sure to get as many answered as possible. Perfect. We've already got some coming in, so you are free to keep those coming. Blake was having a little bit of a Zoom issue, as we have all experienced. So he has his camera off, but he can hear us. He will be able to chat with us. Sorry about that camera issue, but we will get all the info that we need, and we'll get started here in just a moment. All right, perfect. So we have a pretty steady number of attendees. Just a couple more people logging in, so I'll give us one more minute here. Hope y'all are enjoying the last bits of your summer. We're getting real excited to welcome students back. Just a couple weeks. All right, perfect. So once again, if you're just joining us, I'm Kelly. I will be helping out with Q&A, answering some questions behind the scene. And I'm going to go ahead and let Natasha Bird introduce herself first, and then we're going to jump over to Blake Petty, and then we're going to get into your questions. So Natasha, feel free to take us away.
Good. Hello. I was going to say good afternoon, but depending on where you're joining from, it could be morning, could be evening. My name is Natasha Bird. I use she, her pronouns, and my new title is Associate Director of Student Wellness. I'm shifting over from Residence Life as Associate Director of Residence Life, Health, and Wellness. And so I'm really excited to not see you all, but to be in your presence at least. I see that there are 68 of you, and that's really great. Some of the things that we are looking forward to, or at least I know I am, is having people back on campus. I think one of the starts for that, for me at least, when it comes to just health and well-being, is remembering that mitigating strategies still work. And so you're thinking about washing your hands, socially distancing, vaccinations, mask wearing, that these are kind of things that you can start to think about what your plan and processes will be for that for yourselves, right? That there will be things at the institutional level, but that those are still things that can help mitigate any number of things, whether it's COVID-19 or cold and flu, because we'll be entering that season as we kind of get towards September, October. So I think my biggest message is think of those things, but really that means checking in on yourself, asking yourself what things you need to feel supported, what things you can do to help support other people within your community. And part of that is Oglethorpe, but also that's your own family, your own loved ones. And that helps too, because you'll be living with people. So you're going to go through a roommate, suite mate agreement. You're going to have to sit down and talk to people about what's going on in their life, and how you can meet the needs within the space that you're living in. And so I think that's sometimes a little nerve-wracking, but also exciting, because that's a great life skill to have. Because even as a person in my 30s, there are still times where I have to have those conversations, or there are folks that I live with or that I'm held accountable to. So I think that those are really good skills to take with you. And there's still plenty of stuff happening on campus. So there's things that SGA and programming board and a lot of different offices have worked on. There's going to be like a I'm looking out my window because I'm on campus now, but there's going to be a hammock tent, and there's stuff with gardening, and there's plans for food pantry and ways to support folks for a lot of things that they're going to need. So I hope that I'll share my email in a little bit, but if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. The goal really is what things bring you quality of life, that you get an opportunity and a chance in college to really think about like what makes you happy and how do you get to live a life that feels good to you from your perspective. So really glad to meet you all. I'm going to turn it over to Blake Petty.
Hello, everyone. As Kelly mentioned, I apologize for not being on camera. I don't know where all of you are, but in Georgia, where I'm at, it is currently pouring down rain. So I have a feeling that is what is causing the issues for me. It was been thundering. So anyways, so that's what's happening with me. But what I want to do is first introduce myself. I'm Blake. I'm our Director of Residence Life. Kind of oversee all of our operations on campus, both our RAs, our 8 residence halls now, our Greek houses, all that kind of stuff. If you joined our session earlier in the summer, we talked a lot about getting involved on campus, talked a lot about the RAs, talked a lot about like getting your housing assignment, all that kind of stuff. But today is to talk about MoveIn and to kind of give you an overview of what MoveIn is going to look like, and kind of try to calm any fears you might have, answer a lot of your questions, and to hopefully make everything make sense, truthfully. My overarching theme for this is if you get lost or get confused, I promise when you show up on the day of move-in, it'll all make sense. It makes sense from the moment you show up to campus. We have a really good system that we put in place. You get directed to where you want to go. You get shown where you need to go. You get helped along the way. At no point should you ever think, oh, I'm just going to show up to this big campus on move-in day and I'm going to be lost if I don't have everything exactly perfectly laid down. It'll be okay, I promise. One of the great things about MoveIn is the faculty, staff, and students that kind of rally around your move-in day to help you. There'll be over 200 people on campus just to help you move in. Not only physically move in, they'll be moving your items, but pointing to where to go, checking you in, talking to you, just being there to be a support for you on that day. So you shouldn't feel alone on that day. So it's a big day. So really what I want to start with is kind of what that day is going to look like. And I'll preface this one more time with this. What I'm going to talk about today is August 27th move-in day. If you are an early arrival, or if you are, you're here for something different and you're not coming on the 27th, this does not apply to you. Now, it's great for you to learn, and we'll talk about a lot of other things, so please don't leave us, but this is what I'm talking about, the 27th. If you're an early arrival, you got a different email, you got a different map, very different in kind of what's going to happen. For the most part, you're going to just check in the TLCC, and we will, facilitate your check-in from there. This day is specific to the 27th, okay? So when you arrive on campus on the 27th, you will be directed through the Peachtree Road entrance. And actually, I was meant to share my screen. Let me do that real quick here. Right, I'm hoping everybody can see this here. This is the map that I sent everybody. And so you'll enter this Peachtree Road entrance right here. So right at the front, you'll enter through the gate, and you'll be directed to one of two areas. You'll either be to the right, where you can see Schmidt or Jacobs or Trayer or Goodman. You'll check in over there, right? Or you'll go to the left, and you'll go to where Joe Hansen or Dempsey are. From there, you get put into what we call a holding tank. You'll sit in that holding tank. They'll give you a placard for your car. They'll kind of make sure that they check you in, and then they know that you're there. And you'll stay in that space until space opens up at your residence hall. So if you're in Trayer or Goodman, you'll kind of go over to the Trayer lot when there's space available. If you're in Schmidt or Jacobs, you'll go all the way up to the top to where Schmidt and Jacobs are. Joe Hansen, Dempsey, same thing. Okay. We release you a few at a time for a couple different reasons. One, it's going to be to try to keep density in the residence halls low, trying to avoid too many people coming in and out at one time. We'll talk a little bit later about the guest policy and kind of some of the COVID stuff we've got in place to keep you safe. But the other thing is there's going to be a myriad of volunteers at that check-in station to help you move in. And so they will be there. So we don't want to have 10 cars there because then it would take a whole lot longer. But if we do a few cars at a time to where they have a chance to unload your items, put it in your room, and then you get to go park. Okay. Whenever you're done with moving your items out into your room, you go to a designated parking area. So if you find your email that we had sent you, you'll see the designated parking. So Trayer and Goodman, you go to the tennis court or the library parking. If you're in Joe Hansen or Dempsey, you go to that Bowden Magby parking lot, which is green. You can see that on the map. And then Schmidt and Jacobs, you'll go to that Greek Row area as well. That's where you'll park your unloaded vehicles, okay? We want to keep congestion around the residence halls as low as possible, okay? And that'll, try to help keep us people moving in as quick as possible. The reality of it is when you get to your residence hall, your items should be unloaded and in your room in probably less than 5 minutes. I might say 7, but I'd say probably 5 minutes at a minimum. So I say that to say it's not like you have to bring a whole entourage to come and help you move in. We're here to help you, and we're here to do that, okay? So hopefully really fast, you'll be able to, get that stuff, get it in your room, and you will be ready to go and to go set your room up, okay? So that's the map. Again, you've been sent this, so your students, you got it to your Oglethorpe email address. We'll also give this to you on the day of move-in, so I promise you'll have it. When talked about that car placard, you'll get that as well. It'll tell you where your unloaded parking zone is, and it's color coded. If you see, it's going to be either red or green or yellow, and it's going to show all of that. So that's the map there. I don't think you need to see that anymore, so I will stop sharing my screen. And I'm going to talk about a few other things that I think are very important for the day, and then I will turn it over to start answering some questions. One big thing that we've changed is the guest policy. So if you are bringing guests to campus, as you saw in the email, all guests must wear a mask at all times while they're on our campus. That's indoors, that's outdoors, everywhere. We're asking guests, regardless of vaccination status, to wear a mask. We're not going to limit the number of guests that you're bringing. It will be okay. You can bring as many people as you need. But as I just outlined, you don't need a lot of people. If your immediate family wants to come, absolutely okay. But you don't need to bring a huge group of people knowing that we're going to help you move in. When you arrive to campus, we totally understand if you're bringing 2 cars, but we try to ask you to arrive in 1 or 2, not bringing 3 or 4. We totally understand. Like if you have a car, you're the student and your parents are driving behind you, you're leaving your car and they're going to leave campus. That's totally makes sense. You're going to bring 2 cars, and that's okay. What we ask is that your parents stay in the car throughout the move-in process. So when they get to the holding tank and through all the way to until your items are unloaded, that they stay in the car and wear their mask whenever people are kind of around them and interacting with them. What we'll do is we'll have our volunteers move all your stuff to your room. And then once you're done with your items being unloaded, you can go to your designated parking zone. And then your parent or your guests, I should say, can come to the room with you. And you can, at that time kind of finish unpacking and doing everything. Students should be the only ones going to like the check-in stations or like in and out where the volunteers are moving their items and stuff like that. Parents should stay in the car. And we'll also have kind of some designated parent entrances. So we'll try to, as best as possible, protect our current students who are helping move. And so we'll have designated parent entrances, and we'll make that all very clear when you come to campus on that day, okay? So there'll be some one-way entrances, one-way exits, all that kind of stuff. For the most part, all of our students are kind of on the 1st or 2nd floor. The only ones you'll find different are a Dempsey or Trayer. Trayer doesn't have an elevator, but Dempsey does. So if you need to use the elevator, grab one of our staff members. We'll happily let you use the elevator. But we just want to make sure that we either clean it afterwards, but make sure that you're not sharing it with our current students. So the other thing too, I would really encourage if you're a resident to talk with your roommates or suite mates about when you're coming. I know we've given you those staggered times based on your room assignment, But if your comfort level is one where you want to make sure you're moving in alone and your guests leave before another group comes, or vice versa, you want to be later, that's okay. The staggered times are definitely what we want you to follow because it makes things really easy for us. But if your comfortability level needs to change where you need to move in much later than your roommate or suite mate who might be moving in the morning, for example, let's say you live on the third floor of Trayer, your move-in time is 8:40 in the morning, but you're not like, hey, I'm going to give them 2 hours or an hour or so to move in and then let them leave, and then I'm going to come. That's okay. We totally understand that. You're still going to get to move in. I promise. We're not going to just, let you sit in the waiting area for a long time. We'll still let you move in. But discuss that ahead of time with your roommates or suite mates on that comfortability level, and especially masks as well. So it might be that your guests are comfortable sharing their vaccination status, and they are too. And you say, hey, while we're in the space alone, we can take our mask off. That's okay. That's your right. But when you leave that space, you should be wearing a mask. Okay. About the only time we say that you can take it off is when you're in a private space or your private room, and if your guests are okay with it. Okay. After move in, once all that is done and once you've got all your stuff all situated, orientation stuff starts. I know there's an orientation session next week about everything that's going to go on, but there's going to be a big lunch on the academic quad, which we sent you an RSVP link for. So if you get a chance, please fill that out for us so we can know who's coming to join us for that lunch on the quad. And then you'll start your orientation activities from there. The last thing you have to do for us is that night at 7:00 on the 27th, there's going to be floor meetings. That goes for those that arrived early or the ones that arrived on the 27th. Please make sure that you show up to floor meetings at 7:00 on the 27th. Your RAs will tell you about it. They'll post it on the halls and all that kind of stuff. But just please make sure you attend that. So I think with that, I can stop talking for a hot second. And I hope I answered all of the questions. And then we'll answer some in the Q&A chat. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I do want to make clear just real quick, the questions that we're answering today for the most part are about residence life and move-in. So if you have questions about welcome weekends, of course, you can email or text your admission counselor. We're also having a session about that on Monday, but that is coordinated by the campus life team, not the residence life team. So it is not obvious that the folks on this call would know all of the stuff about that schedule. So if you do have questions about welcome weekend that is not involving move-in, I would recommend you come to that session on Monday if you can. If you can't, of course, you can just reach out and ask us. But today we're talking about residence life as well as move-in. I know they overlap, but the experts about that are going to be talking with us on next Monday at 6:00. We got a few questions about people not seeing the emails that Blake is referencing. I'm guessing those were sent to our students' Oglethorpe emails. Is that correct, Blake?
That is correct. And if you miss it or you can't find it, we sent them on Monday. Was that yesterday? So the 9th. It was about 2 p.m. in the afternoon. So if you want to look for it, it's from residencelife@oglethorpe.edu. But if you still can't find it, if you just want to email Residence Life, feel free to do that and we can forward it right over to you and make sure you have all the information. But it was sent to your Oglethorpe email address, not to any personal email address.
Yeah, so just a good tip from now on. I mean, the admission department still will send some emails to your personal just because, we have both on file. But from here on out, other than admission, everybody on campus is emailing your Oglethorpe. So make sure you do check that on a daily basis. You don't want to miss any important updates or anything. So if you have any trouble getting in there, definitely let us know. But I would check that on a daily basis just to make sure you get everything that you need. Let's see. So you kind of mentioned this a little bit in terms of visitors and things like that, Blake, but on move-in day, do visitors have to leave at noon or can they leave later on that day? So when is it time for visitors to head out?
That's a great question. So after the move-in period ends at about 12:00 or so, we'll do about 12:30. There's a lunch on the academic quad. And I think it starts at 1:00 for guests and students. And that's what the RSVP link is for. I would have to reference the exact orientation schedule, but I do believe there is kind of a send-off period. I think it's around 2 or 3 o'clock, somewhere around in there, where there's a send-off period where you get to say goodbye to your student heads to their orientation activities. You, the parent, guest, whoever you are, it's time for you to leave at that point and let your, student fly, if you will, be a stormy petrel and fly. And so, yeah, so somewhere around, again, that's probably on the orientation schedule when they have a kind of an organized leaving period from the academic quad.
Cool. And in just a moment, I will pull up the link and I will drop it in the chat so everyone can find it easily for the welcome weekend schedule. Somebody put in the chat, and I just heard you say it a minute ago, but asking if parents shouldn't get out of the car to bring stuff in. But it sounded like what you said is as soon as everything is in the room, parents go in the room, help set up all that good stuff. But just in terms of loading stuff from the car to the room, we will have student volunteers helping with that. And we encourage parents to wait in the car until ready to go into the room. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. And the biggest thing too, and I think this might be a good part to mention, with the COVID vaccine requirement, the reason we feel comfortable with that is we know the vaccination statuses of our students, and so we want to make sure that they are safe, not requiring parents or guests to reveal their vaccination status or anything like that, or reveal that they have a negative COVID test or anything like that. So we just want to protect both parties, right? You, the guest, the parent, the students, but also our student volunteers that are helping that day. So we just ask that you stay in the vehicle while we unload all of your items. Once they're unloaded and you park, you're welcome to go back to the room. And then, you're kind of free at that point. As much as possible, I would encourage you to stay in their room and avoid kind of mingling around, especially inside the residence halls. Outside, obviously, is much different. It's a big campus. You can kind of explore a lot. But inside the residence halls, as much as possible, trying to limit that contact between others is kind of what we're desiring.
Cool. So really, parents, we're giving you license to chill in the car while people do the heavy lifting, and you don't have to participate in that. So you get to come in and help set up afterwards, but you get to wait while our folks carry in the boxes. So, and then we will welcome you into the room. A lot of the questions now here are kind of more specifics about what people can and cannot bring, specifics about rooms. So I will try to get through some of those as much as we can. Is there a list of approved and unapproved items for the dorms that students can reference?
Go ahead.
I was just going to give you a vocal break, unless you wanted to specifically ask it. There is a link. I don't know if you have that right off, Kelly, but on the Residence Life webpage that was updated within the last year. And so there's COVID-19 specific items that I think are still very much relevant, right, as we're entering into the second year of the pandemic. And then just other items. So I'm seeing some things about extension cords, if you're allowed to bring them. Yes, I've seen some things about air fresheners and plugins. Basically, as long as it's not candles, as long as it does not have a fire source. We love things like regular air fresheners and diffusers, water diffusers, oil diffusers, things like that work really well. I'm also seeing something about mirrors in the closet, and I think that one might be able to be, to my knowledge, there's no built-in mirrors naturally. Correct me if I'm wrong, Blake, but in Bowdoin Magby, I don't believe. So if you would like a mirror in the space, you would just need to bring that as an additional item.
Perfect. It looks like Blake just dropped the on-campus handbook listed in the link in the chat. So you can reference that for lots of great information about just general rules and regulations about living on campus. So if you still have more specific questions that you can't find there, you can always let us know.
Wax warmers are fine, I'm seeing as well. I'd be mindful, just right, if you have something just about putting in a location where it wouldn't easily be tipped over or fall and spill. But you're allowed to bring wax warmers. And then I'm seeing some things also about raised beds. And so I don't know if you mean the bed raisers or if the bed's all the way up to start with. I think it depends, but we definitely work with our maintenance staff within that first week to get your specifics. So there's kind of notches, and generally speaking, when you're moving in, you'll get some information, or you can tell folks, I want it raised 2 notches. I would like it lowered 3 notches. And you kind of get to have that conversation and curate the space how you'd like.
Perfect. There's a question about how would people know if they're supposed to move in on a different date? That is just a few small groups of students, like international students, as well as some of the student athletes. So you would know. I think you would know if you were moving in early, but if you're really unsure, you can of course reach out to us, but the vast majority of people are moving in on the same day. So you would have been communicated previously if you were part of the early move-in group. There is a question of, are transfer students also moving in on that same date of the 27th?
The short answer is yes. I think I realized today that you transfers got an email that said the 29th, not the 27th. So it is, I'm on my list to update you all with a new email that gives you more information and redacts what I had sent you previously. But you'll get updated information if you're a transfer student. I think some of you got the correct email and some of you didn't. So I want to make sure I'll go back and double check what you got and make sure you have the correct information as well. And I'm going to go back real quick to something Natasha talked about, which is just the kind of the furniture piece. Really, when you come to campus, what we give you is furniture. We give you a bed that is a twin XL bed. We give you a dresser, and we give you, in some cases, some common room furniture, and others like Trayer, there's not common room furniture, right? We give you a desk and a desk chair. In some of our buildings, some of that might be shared just for space configurations and space saving options, but we can also navigate that together. But otherwise, everything else is going to be personal items. So if you want to bring a mirror, that's up to you. Shower curtain, I saw that in there. I wanted to make sure I said, yes, you bring your own shower curtain. Everything else is kind of, there is a shower rod, I can promise you that much. But everything else is considered kind of a personal item. I think I saw this one time. If you turn it over and dump it out, like whatever falls out is probably what you're going to bring. Yeah, that's probably what you're going to bring, besides the furniture. So just plan to bring what you need. But that list that I put in the chat gives you a good idea of what to bring. The Living on Campus Handbook gives you an idea of what not to bring. But the reality too is, and this is something I really stress, don't bring too much in the beginning. You are going to have a chance to go home. You're going to have a chance to go somewhere to get stuff. There is more than enough Targets around. You can ask my wife. She visits all of them too many times, but like there's more than enough stores. There is Costco, there is Marshalls, there is Target, there is Walmart. I mean, there is everything you can imagine really close to campus. So don't feel like you have to pack half your house to come to college. Pack light in the beginning because you're going to accumulate stuff regardless. So my advice is bring the bare minimum, and then, replenish as needed. It might be that we're obviously coming in August, bring warm summer clothes. Don't bring the heavy coats. You got time to go back home, or you got time for them to be sent to you or something like that. We don't get that cold in Georgia, but those are the things that I would suggest as you think about starting to pack up. Remember, you can always get more, and you can always buy it once you get here as well.
Perfect. Couple people wondering, fair enough, if they are supposed to bring toilet paper. Who supplies the toilet paper?
Yes, you are. There are a couple of the third floor rooms where the bathrooms get cleaned daily. And so in those spaces, toilet paper gets replenished. But we don't have an official toilet paper ferry. I have worked at a couple institutions where you kind of got a weekly allotment that'll be between you and your roommates potentially, or you could have your own stock of toilet paper, paper towels, anything that you would need for sanitation or cleaning. You kind of will supply for yourself. Within Campus Life, if there are things that you absolutely need, or if you have questions, feel free to email Residence Life because we can always try and coordinate some things. There should be more details as well around the food pantry. And so that might also be an additional avenue if folks are in need of help and assistance with different supplies.
Perfect. A lot of questions about parking passes. I know that is not specifically coordinated through y'all's office, but I don't know if you can speak to the process of ordering and picking up parking passes.
Sure. I don't mind taking a quick thing. And it was actually on my miscellaneous thing to add to talk at the end about. So yes, parking passes. Everyone should have gotten an email from Director Smalls, Dwayne Smalls on Campus Safety. Basically what his email was telling you to get ready. It was not a, hey, go ahead and sign up for it. It was a get ready email because that information is going to come out soon. On Monday, the 16th, so in just a few days, you will get an email with an option to purchase a parking pass. What Director Smalls was hoping you would do is get ready for that now. identify where you want to purchase a parking pass based on where you live. What zone do you want to purchase one in? Make sure you have your vehicle information, right? If it's your ID, your driver's license, your insurance, your license plate, make, model, color, those kinds of things about your car. Make sure you have all that kind of stuff on hand so that when the email comes out on the 16th, you can purchase your parking pass. Unlike a lot of things, parking passes are first come, first serve. So, as soon as you get the email, it's best if you go ahead and purchase your parking pass, and knowing what you want is going to be really important. So you have all that information, then go ahead and get ready to purchase your parking pass on the 16th. If you purchase it on the 16th, it will be available to you at MoveIn. The only people that I cannot promise, if you are an athlete moving in early on the 17th and you buy it on the 16th, I cannot promise that you will get it on the 17th, but you will get it before the first day of classes. I will promise that. The great thing about parking passes is they are for your residential area, but they do give you a grace period. So it's not like you have to, if you move in on the 17th, you've got to have it right away. The reality is you've got a week or two. They don't start ticketing until after the first week of classes. So the day of Labor Day is really, or the day after Labor Day, that's 7th or whatever that day that is. That's when they'll start doing tickets in the residential areas. But just a heads up that will come out, and you should be able to see it and should be able to purchase your parking passes then. If you're coming on the 27th, I promise you'll get it at move-in day.
Perfect. A couple of questions about sort of dining hours. And again, that's not specifically the Res Life team, but do you guys know what the dining hall hours are going to be? And also people are wondering if commuters have access to that, which yes, you do, of course. But do we know offhand what the dining hall hours are for our students? We can always look it up too, but.
I'll take a stab, and Natasha, make sure I'm not wrong here. But the dining hall, I would assume the dining hall is going to return to normal hours. So if you're a resident, you have an all-access meal plan. So if you live on campus, you have an all-access meal plan, which means you get unlimited meals in the dining hall. You get $100, kind of what we call munch money or dining dollars. That money can be used at an on-campus coffee shop. Or I think we're okay to say this, there's going to be a food truck in the fall. And so you'll be able to use it at that as well. So the food truck will kind of make its rounds, and you'll see it in a couple different places throughout the fall. And so you'll be able to use your meals there. You'll be able to use your meals in the dining hall, all that kind of stuff. Okay. The hours, they have meal hours, but they're also open mostly throughout the day from 7:30 until 9 o'clock. They're open. 7:30 to 8. They are open, period. Meal times, I think breakfast is 7:30 to 10. Lunch is 11 to 2. And I think dinner is 4 to 7 or maybe 5 to 8. I can't perfectly remember. But somewhere around in there. And so you get to use that. And that's kind of the main meals. But other times they have kind of small snack items and stuff like that you can you can go into the dining hall and use a meal for. If you're a commuter, you do have a meal plan. It's a different meal plan. It's a declining balance meal plan versus an all access meal plan. But you can use it at all the same locations. It's been just like everything else. The way Munch Money works is we put money on your account, on your student ID, basically. And you use it like I would say almost like a debit card. So you go and you buy a $5 coffee, you now have $95. That money rolls over from fall to spring, but at the end of the spring in May, with whatever you have left, it just leaves, right? So it doesn't roll over from spring to fall. So you kind of use it like a debit card, except for the debit card expires at the end of the year, basically. So we encourage you to use it. And that's the, same for commuters. It's $225 on your student ID to use. So if you don't use any of it and you roll it over to the spring, you'll have $450 to spend in the spring. If you don't use it, it just goes away. So I encourage you to use it, take advantage of the coffee shop, take advantage of the food truck, all that kind of stuff.
Perfect. And then on that same question was also asking if commuters had access to some other things. They hang on, I gotta find the question again. They were wondering about dining hall as well as,
I think it was the gym and then the residence halls. I can
okay,
touch on that. So gym, yes, accessible to everyone. I know that there's also a question about gym hours. I'll have to touch base and try and get back to you. That's through athletics. They manage that particular building. And then a lot of times some of the hours are set based on the workers that are able to kind of manage and work the front desk. So that might shift a little bit going into the semester. And then residence halls, it depends. I'll let Blake go into a little bit further if he has information around visitors and guests. You don't naturally inherently have space to the residence halls, but if you are invited and the guest or visitor of someone who lives in that space, then yes. Or if there's an event going on, sometimes there's RAs that will open up the space to allow for it to be open to the entire community or commuters and residents. So hopefully that kind of gets at that a little bit.
yeah. We've got a couple people wondering about microwaves. So somebody living in Schmidt wondering if they can bring a microwave and a fridge, and somebody else in Trayer wondering if they can bring one or if there will be a common microwave available. So what do we say about microwaves?
Yes, kind of the same as what I mentioned earlier. We give you the furniture, you bring everything out. So a microwave and a fridge would be kind of a personal item. We don't. There's a limit on the size. So if you looked at that, if you look at that PDF, that sheet, there's a size limit on the refrigerator. Please do not bring a full-sized fridge. I know you might think it fits, and it does, but truly, our power cannot handle it. So bring a microwave and fridge is fine, but bring a mini fridge. Bring a microwave is okay. Don't bring a convection oven. Don't bring a toaster oven. All those kinds of things are not allowed. Bring just your standard run-of-the-mill microwave is totally okay. And you can bring one. Your roommate can bring one. All 4 roommates can bring one. Whatever you want. It's your personal item if you want to bring it. I would encourage you to talk to your roommates and suite mates because a lot of times 2 fridges, 2 microwaves is a little excessive. You can probably get by with 1. You have an all access meal plan, so you're going to use it a lot. You're going to probably just keep drinks and maybe some snack items in there. I would say definitely 1 microwave is more than enough. Wouldn't bring 2 for sure. But you can bring whatever you want. Again, if it's on the list and it's allowed, bring it. Again, I caution you away from anything that's a cooking device. Tea kettles are okay. Water warmers, that kind of stuff, like the ramen noodle or like the egg boilers, that kind of stuff. Those are totally fine. Really what we try to steer people away from is anything that has like an open coil cooking or kind of a hot flame or anything like that. So that's why Natasha mentioned candle warmers are awesome because it's not an open flame, but it just heats it up. That's okay. But don't bring something like a convection oven or toaster or stuff like that.
Perfect. Yeah, I probably don't need 2 microwaves. I mean, if you really want it, do you? But I can't. Who microwaves that many things? Bring
I
one.
also heard someone ask specifically about if there is a microwave in Trayer. There is. I think the question was, should you use that one or your own? That's kind of preference, depending on how much you would microwave. There's also one located in the TLCC game room. And I believe if you're in Bowdoin Magby or Joe Hansen, you have access to some of the kitchen accessories that might be in those spaces.
Cool. All right. Somebody says, in Trayer, are we allowed to take blinds off the window to put up curtains?
That would be frowned upon, so please don't do that. Another thing, and again, I keep talking about furniture, but what we give you should stay in the room. The blinds are pretty installed, I would say. So I wouldn't necessarily ask you to not do that. You can definitely still put up a curtain in front of the blinds, but just not instead of. So please make sure you don't take anything off the walls. Don't take anything out of the rooms either. So we have had, and I don't encourage this, but people might want to bring their own mattress, which is totally fair. If you want to do that, that's your prerogative, but put it on top of the other one because you can't, we won't take your mattress. We won't take your bed or anything like that. All that stuff has to stay in your room because it's assigned to your room. Blinds are kind of the same way. We ask that you leave them, but you can still put a curtain in front of them.
Awesome.
The tension rods, I believe, work well in Trayer. Again, correct me if I'm wrong, but sometimes the tension rods are a good good alternative for being able to kind of put in a curtain, but not have to take out fully the blinds.
Somebody asked if they haven't gotten their room assignment yet, when would they be getting one? My understanding would be that any late applications are being processed on a as soon as possible kind of rolling basis, but you can correct that if it's wrong. And we're happy to look up an individual person's after the fact if that works too. Okay, I think that's right. So if you are waiting on it and you're like, when am I going to get it? Please reach out to your mission counselor and we are happy to check for you and make sure you didn't miss any messages or anything like that.
I'll say likewise too for the question that's about roommates, right? So even if you don't have a roommate right now, if you don't have a roommate going into move-in, that there can be the possibility or likelihood of getting a roommate. If you have specific questions, I think reach out to Residence Life, but I think sometimes folks will think, well, I don't have one on day 10, so I won't have one for the rest of the semester, just that is not necessarily the case. Because for room changes, they do open up, generally speaking, 2 weeks into the semester. I think that was a question that was asked as well.
Okay, let's see what else. Question about if you run out of your balance as a commuter to go to the dining hall, you can definitely just buy a meal whenever you would like. That applies to guests too. If you are visiting a student on campus and you guys want to go eat at the dining hall, you can certainly pay to come into the dining hall and eat. It's affordable. If you think you're going to be eating on campus a lot, you can purchase a more extensive meal plan. You do not have to do the base commuter meal plan. You can do a bigger one if you want to eat on campus every day, for example. We can give you more details about that, but you can also, if you run out of money and you're hungry on campus, you can pay to eat on campus. In terms of checking your balance, is that something you guys know if that's online through the dining hall website or how that would work?
Yeah, once you come to campus, usually the dining hall or somebody will send out a big email about how to check your balance and kind of how to follow through with that. There is an online portal where you can check your balance if you're a commuter or a resident, anything like that, and we can help you with that. But normally, once you arrive to campus, we'll send out an email that says this is how this works, how to log in, how to create an account, all that kind of stuff.
Cool. Do we get keys for our personal rooms in a suite like Bowden Magby? How does that work if somebody has a personal room within a suite?
Yeah, so when you, this is probably a great time to mention Petrol Passes as well. Another miscellaneous thing I had written down. The way most of our residence halls work is there's an exterior door to your room. There is an interior door to your suite or to your bedroom. And there might be even a third door into your individual room. For a building like Bowden Magby or Job Hansen or Dempsey, for example, you will use your Petrol Pass to get into the exterior, to get into the building. You'll use a key to get into your suite, and then a key to get into your personal bedroom as well. If you're in Trayer, for example, you'll use your Petrol Pass to get into the exterior doors, and then your key to get into your suite. Same in Goodman, for example. Same in Schmidt, you have exterior doors, so you just use a key to get into your room, and then a key to get into your personal room as well. So you'll use both a Petrol Pass and a physical key quite often, and you'll obviously receive both of those on move-in day. If you have not requested your Petrol Pass, highly, highly, highly encourage you to do that now. I am sure admissions has been hounding all of you to do it. It was in my email that we sent yesterday as well, but please request a Petrol Pass and please send a professional picture as best as possible, right? If you just stand against a wall smiling, that's perfect. Try to avoid sending Snapchat photos or where you have a hat on or sunglasses on or something like that. Those are just not pictures we can use because it distorts who you are. We need to see you and your whole face. I think of it's kind of like a passport photo. We're not as strict. Please smile. I'd love to see your smiling faces, but kind of think of it like that. It's like a passport photo where it's a kind of a professional picture of you that we're going to use to put on your student ID. So please request that. If you have requested it, great. It'll be there for you at move-in day. If you haven't and you get to move-in day and you never requested it, we'll work on getting you one. It's just a lot harder with the hustle and bustle of everything that's going on. So please request Petrol Passes early. Petrol Pass at Oglethorpe.edu. It's where you send your headshot, or you send your name, student ID to them, and they'll have it printed, and we'll have it for you at MoveIn Day.
Yes, so send a photo, like said, to Petrol Pass at Oglethorpe.edu. Please use the name that we have on file for you. So rather than like nicknames or things like that, use your actual name that we have on file for you and your student ID. So your student ID has been referenced in multiple emails and things like that. If you can't find it, just text us, email us, whatever, we'll give it to you. But that just helps them to go ahead and create your pass, and then it'll be ready for you when you get here. Let's see. If you're in a double dorm room, are beds assigned or do you get to choose? Guessing you get to choose.
I think I understand your question. Like, so if you go into a space and there's 2 beds, yeah, you pick whichever one you want. It doesn't really matter. They're going to be the exact same bed in the same room. So yeah, you pick. It's not like it has your name on it or anything like that. But if you go into a 4-person suite, it's based on your like A, B, C, D, or like Schmidt or Jacobs. If you're an A or B or something like that, it might be based on that, on what side you go to. But for a room like Trayer, for example, you walk in, there's going to be 2 beds sitting there. Whoever walks in first gets to pick which one they want, I reckon.
Got it. All right, so let's see what other good questions we have. Do you guys know anything about if there will be COVID testing availability on campus? Did we announce that yet?
I would advise to keep looking out. Oglethorpe Communication is probably going to be your best bet. If you have other specific questions, you can email healthinfo@oglethorpe.edu. Considering how things are going with the Delta variant and mitigating strategies, I cannot speak specifically to any policies or procedures, but for safety, there might be some initial kind of Petrol pause period where folks are expected to do a little bit more for safety. I think that's a good way to think or consider it, but definitely keep an eye out on your email over the next week and a half, because I think that any updates are going to come from communications or directly through the source. I know that's not a direct answer, but hopefully that at least helps a little bit.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions in the Q&A about what mask policy might be. That hasn't been announced yet. We're trying to get every student to complete that COVID-19 vaccination form, so we'll have accurate numbers on, we are saying if you're a student, please get vaccinated, but people have different exemptions. So we're trying to get accurate numbers on that for everybody. And then also keeping an eye on all the different recommendations that are coming out. So that hasn't been announced yet, and that's not decided by the Residence Life team either. But they have given you the instructions for what it's gonna be like on move-in day. So we have made those recommendations for what we would like for you to do on move-in day, and keep an eye on your email for any additional updates. Is there a student clinic for checkups, etc.?
Not exactly. So we partner with Peachtree Immediate Care, which is a branch off of Emory Hospital, which is a little, I think it's about a 1/4 mile walk from our institution at an intersection right up the street. So we don't have a clinic on campus at this moment, but we have that partnership. We also have a partnership with, sorry, the name of it is slipping me, but we worked with a telehealth company. And so there's medical and counseling services that are available through that new company. So I think that you all should have received an email either this week, thank you, virtual care, Blake sent that to me, either this week or last week for how to sign up and be able to receive those services. And I'm seeing a similar question. And then those for virtual care services, not specifically, right? The counseling services are free, the telehealth is free. If there are any additional things that come along with that, as far as like medications or things like that, that might be a cost. And then Peachtree Immediate Care is its own clinic. So yes, there are costs incurred potentially there. But again, if you have other specific questions, feel free to email at healthinfo@oglethorpe.edu.
Perfect. A couple of people were asking about upgrading their meal plan. If you are living on campus, you do not need to upgrade your meal plan. Already included in the cost of your dorm is an unlimited all access meal plan. So there is no upgrade from there. If you are a commuter and you would like something beyond the commuter meal plan, you certainly are welcome to do so. Just reach out to your mission counselor and we'll help you. We can, show you your options. So just let us know and we can help you do that. But if you are on-campus resident, there's no need to upgrade anything. You are getting that for no extra cost. So that is already included. Fantastic. I think we've answered all the questions for now. I'll give people another minute or two to submit any more that they would like. As I mentioned before, we do have the sort of it's called Getting Involved on Campus and Welcome Weekend. So on Monday, this coming Monday at 6 p.m., we will have Laron and Chantel from Campus Life Department who will give us tons of good information for how to get involved on campus when you arrive, whether you are a residential student or a commuter, and then also lots of information about Welcome Weekend. So if you have specific questions about that, we would love for you to come, or even if you don't have questions, just come and get a great overview. Of course, you can also email us or text us if you are not available during that time, and we would be happy to answer those questions. Please make sure that you go into your Petrol portal and look at your checklist and see if you have any forms that you haven't done yet. We just want to make sure we get all of that stuff done. A lot of people are asking, if I have a second vaccination date, but I haven't done it yet, can I still fill out that form? You are welcome to let us know what your scheduled date is. We just want to make sure we get that information on file. And we do not need any records of any of your vaccinations, regardless, MMR, any of that. We don't want medical records. We just want to get that information. The Getting Involved meeting, someone just put, when is that again? It's this coming Monday. So I don't even remember what the date on that is. That's Monday, August 16th at 6 p.m. You are 6 p.m. Eastern. So you're welcome to join us for that. We got some contact information that was dropped in the chat. If you want to reach out to anybody specifically, do send your Petrol Passes in. Do look out for that parking pass email if you're going to be parking on campus. Lots of stuff to look out for, I know. Make sure you're checking your Oglethorpe email daily so that you don't miss anything. And just reach out if there's anything that you're confused about. We want you to be excited. We want you to be ready and not feel confused about anything. One question, this question is about Welcome Weekend. So again, I would ask you to attend that Welcome Weekend session, but it's asking about, will we be showing you where stuff is? And yes, we will be happy to show you where things are so that you are ready to go for your classes the following week. If you haven't seen an email about the webinar for the 16th, we usually send out the registration information a few days in advance, but I'm happy to drop the URL here for everybody. If you would like to register, we would love for you to register right now or in advance. So I will drop that for us here. So you can log in and register anytime. There we go. And then it's going to be emailed to you as well. I think on Friday I set it up. Perfect. All right. I think we are good. Thank you guys so much for coming. Natasha and Blake, thank you for being with us and giving us all this great information. We cannot wait to welcome you, whether you're a residential student or a commuter. We're super excited to see you. We're super excited for you to make your home at Oglethorpe. So we're looking forward to it. Check your email, reach out if we can help you, and we will see you soon. Thank you guys.